pointers. Scott Bowen, who chaired the committee last time, was kind enough to share materials and working documents with me. So we're going to be utilizing those in order to streamline the process and kind of just get ourselves going, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, if it worked last time, great. If you've got some tips or pointers or hints that you think would be useful, I welcome those. It's my first time to chair the committee, so if you've worked with me before, you know I'm always happy to hear suggestions or listen. So if you have something you want to share as we go, please do that. Just keep in mind we do have time limit, so we want to stay on time. Okay, so we've covered the introduction, so we can go ahead and move on to expectations and communication. So obviously, these meetings that we have prior to convention, they're not mandatory. They are, you know, there for us to be able to, like I said, just kind of get a running start, so that when we do meet there on Monday, we are ready to sit down and get to work, because we have a very limited amount of time to accomplish the work that we have been assigned to. We have to get down to those 15 items that will be voted on the floor of the convention before we, you know, by a deadline. We have a hard deadline that we have to meet in order for those to go to the printer. So any kind of head start that we can get, the better off we will be as we go through the process. Did I see someone's hand raised? No? Okay. So I want to, let's see, talk about the expectations and the communication. So we have set up a Signal channel, and it looks like most of you have joined. If you haven't yet, we encourage you to do that. The Signal channel is not official communication. That is just for us as a group to be able to communicate to one another, discuss, you know, thoughts, ideas, suggestions, whatever, but it is not an official communication. So please do not treat it that way. If you have something official that you need to communicate, please use the email thread so that we have everything documented and verifiable if we need to do that. General committee conduct, we, you know, everyone here is a professional. They, you know, we all understand how to courteously communicate with one another. Obviously, we will have our differences as we go through this process, but I know that we can work together and get where we need to be. Dan, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, can you tell everybody how to get onto the Signal channel?
Sure.
How to get access to that?
Yes. You should be able to, you should have received an invite from Rachel Hale, who set up the channel for us. If you didn't receive an invite, please let Rachel know, and she will send another invite to you so that you can join the channel, because it is a private channel for the committee, strictly for the committee.
And that was Rachel Hale, SD1?
Yes, SD1. And I see she just joined us. So she's here. So.
Okay. I see your message in the chat. Thank Perfect. You very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, we got another hand up. Go ahead, Debbie.
I just would make comment. This is my third time on the committee, so I was on last time.
Yes.
And Scott Bowen's process last time did not go well. Tried to get down to
hold on 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me okay? All right. So anyway, I would just issue a word of caution about that process, because we pretty much the whole committee rebelled against the reduction before testimony and the quick getting down to, I think it was 15 at the time in the first half day. And so that process did not go smoothly. I would dispel that myself. So.
If I can interject, I was also on the committee, Debbie, and I totally disagree with your assessment. I thought, I mean, obviously there were hiccups,
That's
or there
okay.
are, but I think the process worked very well, and I think we can use that as a template.
I think we wasted about a half a day trying to get past that problem that it caused. But, you know, I think there's some other people that were on the committee, so glad for any of them to weigh in.
So far as a general goal, I have us getting to 30 items by the end of Monday. And then hopefully by Tuesday, we would be able to get down to our goal of the 15 items and start to wordsmith and edit and just get those more toward the language that we want to have for our final report. Because like I said, we do have a hard deadline and a limited amount of time. So like I said, that is part of the purpose of having these meetings prior to and being prepared when we do start on Monday. Okay, so any other questions or comments about just general expectations, communication, anything like that before we move on?
I do have a question, or maybe a comment. Obviously, any delegate can join the Zoom call as an observer, but I just want to make sure it is clear that only committee members may participate, and that others can only observe.
Yes, that's correct, and thank you for pointing that out. If you're here as a guest, yes, you're welcome to observe, but only the committee members will be discussing or working. So please do respect that. Does everyone have their rooms and know that we are starting at 11 a.m. on Monday? And please understand that we could be going until midnight working. So please be prepared for that. These are going to be long days. We will have breaks, obviously. There will be a schedule that I'll be publishing once we get a little bit closer, but we go ahead and pack a lunch, pack some snacks, pack your, all those little creature comforts that you think you might need. Please be prepared for that. We're going to be there all day. I'm bringing a seat cushion. Okay, then we will go ahead and move on to the scope of work. So did everyone receive the link to the working document that we have? That was a spreadsheet prepared by RPT staff so that we would have all of the legislative priorities that were submitted by the SDs from their conventions. Not every SD submitted a list of legislative priorities, but those who did, we received. We have gone through and categorized those into tabs on a working sheet there so that we kind of know what we're looking at, what we're dealing with. We had 1,262 items submitted, and we had a few people who stepped up and went through and categorized those. So I think we are dealing with around 30 that had multiple submissions. And then we've got a miscellaneous tab that has, I believe it's under 100 now of just miscellaneous items that didn't have companions that were submitted by other SDs. So I feel like having those items and having those kind of streamlined is going to be a big help for us going into this thing. But obviously there are other items that may be presented, at convention, in committee, when we meet, when people come to give testimony. So these are not the only items that we will have for consideration. So just keep that in mind, that this is what we have so far, but they will not be the only items that we will be considering. So you can start looking at those, thinking about language. A lot of them obviously are going to be duplicates that the SDs submitted that are, a copy and paste that'll be another SD, but there will be, others that are completely, written up by someone else. Stephen, you had something?
Yes, so, how are we going to, as you're talking about combining those, what are you gonna do with those orphans and how do you manage those?
So the orphans we will have to go through those, and when we meet on Monday and try to get down to, those 30, that's something that we're going to have to address then. And that's why I would prefer if everyone is able to go ahead and start looking at those items now, seeing, okay, is this something that I would like to, vote for us to consider? Those are some of the things that, we can be doing now as we prepare ahead of time so that when we get there on Monday, we can start to vote and make decisions. Dan, I think you were next.
Couple of quick questions. Who do you have as your secretary for this committee?
I have not designated a secretary yet. I have a couple of people who have volunteered, and that will be something that we're going to be addressing in our next topic in the agenda. So we'll come back to that.
Okay. One, I was on the legislative priorities last session.
Yes.
And I'm kind of between Debbie and Rolando. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work.
Sure.
A lot of it was Scott got wrapped around the axle a lot when he tried to be really a member of the committee and not just the leader of the deal, where he was trying to make changes that were not acceptable to the group, and there were some things in that. But my question is, getting down to 30 like that, it's a very difficult deal. Do you have they given you a piece of software that, like we used the last time, Scott and Virgil had a piece of software where we threw in like 45 or 50 of these things and we ranked them 1 through whatever, and that's how we got down to the final 30 and then the final 15. Do you have that type of software available to you?
I have been looking at SurveyMonkey and trying to see if that's something that we might be able to utilize, but I haven't been furnished with anything by the RPT, but maybe they have something for me. I'm not sure yet. So, but I'm definitely working on something like that for us to use. Yes.
Because it quickly helps rank and get stuff out of the way real quick, and you find out where the committee's at with that stuff. It goes a long ways to helping that process. So I was just curious whether you had that or not, because it'll go a long ways. I mean, we dropped it from 100 down to 30 in one session, in one vote, and that really helped put us back on target for a lot of things. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. All right. Cindy or Rachel, I'm not sure which of you was next.
Well, go ahead, Rachel. Or I'll just tell you, I'm here. I'm 12, and I tried to answer, and I think my microphone got cut off because somebody else was checking in for SD12. But I'm Cindy Castilla, and I'm on the committee. So I just wanted to clarify that I am here. I got an update on my computer, and my keyboard won't work, so I can't type it into the chat. So.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, good. Thank
Thanks.
you so much for that.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Hey, I was just going to suggest, I think there's a little bit of confusion, and I think last time the committee members were on the Zoom, and then everybody else, which is exciting that all the delegates and alternates want to obviously watch the meetings, but I think they watched that on the YouTube channel simultaneously while this was going on, because anyway, it's kind of creating, I think, some confusion in the chat, so I didn't know, maybe we wanted to look at that option too.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, I'll discuss that on our next coming meetings to see if we want to continue to allow guests in the Zoom or if we want to have people just watch over YouTube. And Just to go back quickly to one of the things that Dan was talking about, I just want to let you all know that my goal as chair of this, or temporary chair of this committee, is to facilitate the committee and not to influence the committee. Obviously, I am human and I have my preferences and my priorities and things that I, care about. But as far as for the committee, you guys are the committee. Y'all are the ones who have to consider, y'all are the ones who have to vote, and y'all are the ones who are going to be responsible for that baby that we delivered to the floor on convention. So that is my goal. So please, if you feel like I am trying to influence or overstep, kindly, please let me know, and I will, take it into consideration. Let's see. So obviously, like I said, we've been working on that spreadsheet. We've got the items categorized down as much as we can at this point. And then Monday through Wednesday, I think I did mention that the goal is for 30 by the end of Monday. But that's a goal. If we don't get it down to 30, we will keep working and keep going. But that is the goal, just to have, some kind of guardrails set for ourselves so that we're, cognizant of the time and getting the work done and getting through it. And then by Tuesday, I'm hoping that we would be able to go ahead and get down to the 15 by the end of Tuesday. And then that way we have Wednesday to really work on the nuance of those 15, because you should have received in an email a memorandum from the SREC that served on the Legislative Priorities Committee this past session. So these people lived it. They were given these priorities by the delegates and said, here's your charge, go and work on this. And so they have input, they have feedback for us. It's not our marching orders, but certainly this is useful information. And I would like us to use that as much as possible in order to get the wording, get the just all of it as useful as we can for the next Legislative Priorities Committee that is going to be coming. I'm not sure who's going to be serving on that committee next session, so I want to give them as clear goals and priorities as we can. And we've got a hand up. Go ahead.
Do we have a room assignment for the LP committee at the convention?
We will, but we do not yet. But yes, we will have a designated room and space, and please be praying that our Wi-Fi is in good working order. Let's see, another hand up. Go ahead. Pamela, did you have your hand up?
Sorry, I couldn't tell
That's okay.
if you were looking at me or not. I'm not on the committee. This is my first time to be directly involved like this.
Oh,
So
Pamela,
this is
hold on 1 second. Did you say you're not on the committee?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Only committee members can speak in the meeting. Guests are just observing. So if you have something you want to type into the chat, you're welcome to do that. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So like I said, we have goals, but whether we reach them or not will be, up to y'all and how you want to work, how you want to proceed. So let's see. Any more questions about our scope of work before we move on from that?
I can't get my hand up fast enough. Quick question.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So I know that some people are participating in the spreadsheet. So I haven't tried to do that yet because I didn't have any time to give to it. But If we do, how do more of us volunteer to work on the spreadsheet?
Google Docs.
Okay, so that's a great question, Debbie. At this point, so we've organized all of it, but we do need to, I believe, go through each tab and just make sure that each item is in the correct place, because like I said, we did start with a little over 1,200 items. So, copy and pasting, and you might have it. I know I did it a few times and had to, oops, let me undo that and go put it in the right place, So if you want to choose a tab and go through and just make sure that each item is on the correct tab, that would be great. But we're only going to keep it to the people who are currently able to edit as editors. Everyone else can be a viewer, because I just don't want it to get too crazy in there with a bunch of different cooks in the kitchen. So if you click on that, the link that was sent to our email thread, you should be able to request to access, and you'll be able to view it there. And then if you find items, if you just want to let myself, or let's see, we have Loretta, Brian, and Paula,
Julie.
I believe.
Julie. Yes.
Julie, sorry.
That's okay.
And Julie, all four of us, or five of us, were working on it. So any of us you want to send a little note to, and then we can get those items fixed if something is in the incorrect place.
Okay.
That would be just fine. But just going through and looking at the items, like I said, familiarize yourself with what we have so far would be great. Dan, go ahead.
I think it's great you've got that organized, 'cause I've done that before in the past when I had 1,200 resolutions to go through for an SD committee, and it's a big undertaking task. My question to you is, have you structured the sets of times for when you're going to have available for public hearings on those issues, each of those groups, so that people that want to testify to the committee on there, and how's that process going to be? Have you logistically set that out yet? And how are you going to notify people that of what time, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, the time will be available for them to come in and speak to the committee about their particular item?
Yes, so there will be a schedule, obviously, for the committee meetings, and we will have scheduled time for testimony. I don't know necessarily that I would create certain times for certain subjects, unless that's something that you all think would be productive and that you would like to see. I'm certainly open to it. I don't know, how has that worked in the past for people who have served before? Does anyone have comment on that?
Well, the last time we met 2 years ago with Scott, we had testimony off and on all 3 days, and we tried to get it refocused down. The problem we had was getting out to people to, they would come in on the last day wanting to testify on something that we'd already gotten rid of. But if we had listened to their testimony, it may have been part of the priorities. So it's a matter of, and that was one of my criticisms to Scott Bowen and how he structured it. There needs to be there'll be a lot of people that want to testify, put their 2 cents worth in. And
Sure.
that's really what the first day and a lot of the second day is about. And that's before you get to cut down even to the 30. So
Sure.
in the groups you got right now, it may depend on how you consolidate those together. At some point in time, we're going to need to either do a Zoom call, allow people to come in and talk about it so that we can hear what they have to say, which will help our thinking on how we want to structure the language of the priority. Or we need to make sure that we give them ample time. Otherwise, you're going to get all kinds of criticism if you made all the decisions already on the first day. And they're going to be real upset about day 2. And they will take a lot of people on the committee, and they will go to their SD caucus meetings and throw them off just to have their voice be heard later on. So just be aware of the backlash that you could get out of it if there isn't a reasonable time for them to show up and speak their mind, because they are very, very vocal. Rolando probably remembers that real well the last time. There are a lot of very staunch and vocal people on certain priorities. That's just where I'm at with that. We need to really think through what that process is so that we don't get in trouble.
Sure. And I absolutely understand what you're saying. My thought there is, how do we can't just push it all off until the last minute of ranking and choosing. Did you have something, Rachel?
Well, I was going to say, like, day one, if I remember correctly, anyone correct me from last time, but I think day one, like, Stop Sexualizing Texas Kids had gotten totally, like, knocked off day one, or it was down, and then it was knocked off maybe on Tuesday. But by Wednesday, it came back up, and it was, like, ranked number 4. And then Thursday, I guess, for the final vote, it ended up getting number 3, but it was completely taken off on Monday. So I don't know how any of it works, but I do remember that, and I do know that people, I think people should be able to testify. I don't think we should just say we're only going to testify on this, because who knows when they're, to Dan's point, I think people need to testify, all the days or whatever, so that we don't limit anybody.
Sure. And I think, yeah, if people want to come and testify, I want them to be able to come and testify. My hesitation with saying we're going to have this topic on this day at this time is, people have schedules and they may not be able to be there at that day, on that day at that time, to testify about the thing that they're passionate about. For me, I feel like the testimony is always going to be open, but if we do decide, hey, we're going to talk about this topic at this time, great. But if someone has to wait until Wednesday to come and talk about that, then they can come on Wednesday and talk about that. We need to be flexible to let people come and testify when they can. And then, as far as cutting down and voting, we have to start cutting somewhere in order to stay on time. So go ahead, Brian.
Wasting time right now.
Yeah, the only problem with letting them testify just whenever, and I experienced this because I was the timekeeper last time, it ate up a lot of our time that we could have been, it could have been better used. And so if we structure a period of time, if they're passionate about that piece of priority, then they'll be there whenever that time is. We just got to figure out a way to put it out. The times, that is.
Okay. I'm sure that staff would be happy to publish that however we can, but that's up to delegates to find that information. So I don't know. Stephen, you had something?
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I think, from my time working in Washington, I would tell you that if you do not have structured times, you're going to be bouncing back and forth between priorities, and it's only going to be hurt feelings when you go, well, no, that's already been taken off the books, or you listen to it, now you move it on, and something else now drops off, that those people aren't there to defend that position. I really believe that we need to set times for when they're going to speak on a particular subject. It's just my opinion.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, Levi, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to echo this. I just, bear with me, I'm new to this, but throwing some ideas out. So a lot of these priorities are going to be retreads of priorities we had last session. They're going to be retreads of priorities you had the session before. So you can kind of predict what this convention is going to look like. Why not break it up, tentatively have like a block of things that are going to match. So Monday, here's what we're going to try. Now, maybe at the end of every day, because I'm tracking what other people are saying, maybe at the end of every day, you have like a free-for-all for like an hour or 2 hours, and say, look, if there was a thing that didn't get brought, you couldn't make it Monday, don't worry about it. Wednesday, we're going to take in some extra stuff. It's just an idea. It's just a recommendation. I appreciate, I'm not knocking anybody's ideas on this, but again, if, just for organizational purposes, if you got people kind of lining up, and they're like, I got to speak about these 15 issues, and you're going to be hearing it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The other thing too is maybe time gated a little bit, like, hey, let's do 2 minutes at a time, go sit down. Those are just my 2 cents on it, just from watching kind of the SREC meetings and legislature. But anyway.
Yes, we'll definitely have time limitations on the testimony. We can't go on and on and on. Okay, anyone else on that one? If not, we'll move on to roles and volunteers.
Hey, Rachel, my hand raising this button doesn't work.
No problem.
I'm Richard Henson, Rockwall County SD2. So in our county convention, we had a lot of resolutions, and we put a lot of them in a consent agenda. This may answer the question on how to organize people that want to come back and testify later on something we've already deleted. So we can move, once we get the 30 into, I'm going to use the word consent agenda, into a group, we could retain all of those others into another bucket, so to speak, and if people, and give them a second chance if someone comes later in the week. So when we delete them, just put them on a separate tab in the spreadsheet, and we could save those if someone comes to testify as a second chance, and then we could maybe turn the 30 back into 35 before we reduce it down to your 15. It's just an option for you. It may work. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else on scope of work? Okay, then we're going to go on to roles and volunteers. So there are a few different roles that we are going to need, and I've had some people go ahead and volunteer for some of them. So we're going to have a working document while we are ranking. And then once we start wordsmithing and all of that, we're going to have a working document up. Obviously there will be a projector with a screen and everything, but if you have your laptop and we have working Wi-Fi that we're all going to be praying for, you'll be able to have it there on your screen in front of you. So we need, we're going to need people to work that, and you have to be able to do it with people looking at you and judging you as you're typing and all of that. So that is not my strong suit. So I would not be the person who volunteered for that. So people who are good at formatting, typing, those kinds of things would be who we would need for that job. And I'd like to have at least 3 people on that, so that people can take breaks. They don't get burnt out, fatigued sitting there managing that. We do have one person who has volunteered so far for that, so I'm looking for a couple more. You don't have to volunteer right now. You can it can be something that you can be thinking about as we get closer. Another person that we're going to need is someone who's going to be working very closely with me, and that's going to be working the sign-in and documentation of people who have come and testified. I do have the document from the Google sheet that was used last year. I do have that, and we'll be able to use that and modify it as we see fit. But we do need to, that's going to be important to keep things on track, and also to make sure that people who sign up to testify have the opportunity to do that. We will need a timekeeper for that, because we all know that, you know, when you're giving testimony, you can start to rattle on and go and go and go. So we're going to have to be strict about the timekeeping so that we can stay on track and give people the opportunity to testify who want to testify about their item. And then we're going to need some sergeant at arms, and we've had a couple of people who have volunteered for that one as well. The last time, I don't remember anyone, you know, getting rowdy, but I mean, I guess it could happen. So we'll need to have that on hand just in case.
Oh, it actually did happen. Someone did have to be escorted out of the committee room. But we had the RPT sergeant, the convention has a team of sergeant at arms.
Yes.
And so, they were on the spot immediately.
Okay, good to know. Well, I guess I missed that kerfuffle, so.
It was a fun time, trust me. It was a conflict between convention estates and the people that want to withdraw from Texas, the Texas people. It was a conflict.
Two very passionate groups.
Yes, so I mean, that's where that at. My question, one of the things, Rolando may remember this, probably one of the most helpful things was as we got down to the final 15 or so, and the last day of testimony was or in various times of it, is that will you allow committee members to ask questions of the people doing the testimony, because it helps us clarify some things that we may not see before.
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. And I mean, as someone who, you know, gives testimony, I never have a problem with answering questions, because that can help to, clarify and even give that, give better language for what we will be presenting to the delegates. So I don't have a problem with asking questions at all. But if we do have questions, then I think we need to have constraints on that, like maybe 2 questions per, per witness or.
I think that's what we did, especially towards the last day when we're trying to get down to the final document to go to the convention itself. But it does help, because then we have, normally the people who are testifying in, we've asked them to come back and help clarify some things and make sure we're doing that. So I was just curious. It just kind of, it's bringing back up memories from 2 years ago. So I just thought I'd ask.
Yes, that's great. And I'm sure, yes, we'll have several instances of that where as we get going and people say, oh, I remember we did this, or we can do that. And so, like I said, I'm open to suggestion and, modifying and doing what we need to do in order to have a better process and be able to deliver a product that we can all feel good about at the end of it.
And even towards the latter part of that, we had it to where the members were asking people that had previously done testimony to come back. We were talking about a particular priority to come back and help us clarify some things too. So they were sitting in the room more than eager to help answer our questions that we had there that they're a subject matter expert on, we are not. So it was a very helpful process. And we got it all done by midnight on Wednesday too.
That would be wonderful. I would love that. Let's see. Do I have Paul with a question?
Yes. We're going to give priorities to any political office holder on testimony.
Do we have office holders who want to come in and give testimony?
No, I'm sure we will.
Yes.
Do we give priorities to them?
That's a question for you guys. I say no. I don't mind giving consideration, but I'm not the type that rolls out a red carpet just because, they are, delegates made their time to be there, and I want to honor their time and their, commitment to be there. So,
I don't disagree. I would agree with that point. Just Bob Hall and some of the others will be there.
Sure. So yeah, so if they want to testify and they have a certain window that they can come in and do that, I'm certainly willing to work with people. Yeah, not a problem. Destin, did you have something?
Yeah, Rachel, thank you. I just had a thought on that question. I think that delegates, lawmakers, people coming to testify who maybe are not delegates should all be treated equally before the committee. But perhaps one thing that the committee should consider is allowing for an additional minute or 2 minutes for folks that have been invited to provide testimony by members of the committee. So for example, if Cindy Castilla would like to invite Senator Hall to come and testify on a particular issue, then we would allow that person or that person who's been invited an additional minute or 2. But as a general rule of thumb, maybe we ought to consider giving everybody the same amount of time. Just a thought for the committee.
All right. I am not opposed to you guys considering that. Yeah. Go ahead, Rolando.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I seriously doubt we're going to have like the whole GOP House GOP caucus lining up to speak with us, but we will have, probably 2 or 3 who do. And in those cases, I'm fine with giving them some extra time and of course asking them questions, because I understand we want to hear from all delegates equally, but also if a rep who may be carrying one of our priority bills wants to give some insight on how to craft the wording so it'll pass, I think that'll be helpful. So like I said, we're not going to have a lot of those, but if we have a few reps that want to speak to us about one of these priorities, either we give them, set aside some time for them, or I'm happy to continue to ask them questions so they can continue to speak. Oh, and Galen mentioned that. Mays Middleton always speaks on banning taxpayer-funded lobbying. Yes.
Right. So yeah, like I said, I am open and willing to work with people, and make it work for them so that they're able to come in and give their testimony. And certainly, yes, those people who will be actually in the office next session and we need them, rowing in the same direction as us, we do want to work with them for sure, because we need them to get our priorities passed. All right. Okay. So I think those were all of the roles and volunteers that I had noted. Are there any suggestions for other volunteers or roles that we might need to cover for committee? Anyone? Before we move on from that? Go ahead, Destin.
Hey, I was just going to suggest, or actually compliment you. I think it would be great to have 2 or 3 people per role. Like I myself, for example, plan on testifying before the platform committee at some point throughout the course of the first several days, right? I know that other members of this committee plan on doing the same. So if we're all tapped out on a particular role, it makes it a lot more difficult, right, to be able to be agile and come back and forth. So just having 2 or 3 volunteers per role, as you said, kind of takes the burden off of everybody to feel like be there the entirety of the day. So just a thought.
Agreed. Go ahead, Paul.
Have you thought about a parliamentarian, or do you feel as though you're strong enough to handle that role?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yes, that should be on my list and it is missing. You are correct. I am definitely looking for a parliamentarian. And so if any of you have recommendations, I am certainly willing to check those out. And then let's see. Eileen, did you have something?
Yeah, actually, based on what Destin just shared, can you clarify what the expectations are in terms of our flexibility and what, expectations in terms of being present to LP committee versus testifying in other committee rooms?
Yes, the expectation is that you are going to be there in the committee serving, because that is the root word of committee, is commit. You have committed to this group. Totally understand that, you know, you might have like a rule or something else that you want to give input into, and obviously, you know, if you have something like that, then if you need to step away for a moment, I get it. But we need you present, working in the committee as much as you absolutely can. And I think that's important. And I think that's, you know, respecting the rest of the committee as well by being there. So, Cindy, go ahead.
I've been on platform the last 2 times, and I would use our breaks to try to run over to priorities, because I run Texas Eagle Forum, and you know, we've got some opinions on things, on priorities, and it was a complete loss for me, because I couldn't sign up, and I couldn't, and I do think, you know, there could be some kind of courtesy between committees during breaks of one committee to allow those of us who, you know, have been doing this for years and years and are really deep in on all this stuff. I want to serve here. I think it was really important that I get a chance to be on this committee for experience and just for knowledge as we're working in the Capitol on, you know, how this all comes down. But I also do want to pop into platform when I can, and not when we're working on breaks. So I just wanted to throw that thought out there.
Yeah, and so maybe if, so for me, like we were just talking about, if we have legislators who want to come over and give testimony at a scheduled time, well, maybe if you're, you know, if you have someone who's serving on another committee and they want to come and give their testimony, then I'd be happy to try and work with them and get a designated time for them to come in and give testimony so that they're able to do that. I'm happy to do that. Debbie, go ahead.
I don't know that I have the solution, but I want to like bring up a possible issue that we have sometimes. This time, I think we're going to have some very emerging issues that I haven't reviewed platform again yet, but that may not be on platform. Say AI issues or Sharia law issues, and so I don't know if we had a runner, but there had to be some communication between what was going over in platform and what was going in legislative priorities, because it needed to be on platform to be a legislative priority. So just want to bring that thought to your mind.
Well, that is a whole other can of worms. Thank you. Okay, so maybe that's an additional role that we can have, you know, some volunteers on standby to kind of keep us in communication, so that we're not, taking a veer off the path that we don't even need to. Okay, anyone else have anything on that? Okay, so then let's see, we're right on time to address next steps and any immediate concerns regarding the upcoming schedule. We've got 2 more times to meet before committee officially starts on the 11th. So the next meeting, what I would like for us to do is go through the legislative priorities from the last session, and then also the memorandum from the SREC with their input from that last session, so that we can kind of see, you know, what did they accomplish, what is their guidance on crafting these priorities, and how can we use that information to, you know, make the process better and save ourselves some time and effort, and, you know, work hard and smart. Anyone else have any questions or concerns about our next steps or our next meetings? Go ahead, Dan.
Go on. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
One question that I had is, this is my first time coming, so I have no clue what's going to happen. One question I had is, are there gonna be committees going on in parallel that we have to choose which one is a priority for us, and or do things happen sequentially? Yeah, okay.
No, we are, everyone is going to be meeting all at the same time. So, like Cindy talked about, if you have something you want to testify on, rules or platform, then, we'll try and figure that out. But your commitment is to serve on this committee. So as much as you can, we need you to be there, hearing testimony, working on language, those kinds of things. But obviously, yes, some people have, other things that they want to attend to as well, so.
Yeah, but my party would be just to vote. I don't really have, I have one issue that I submitted that, and whether it goes or not, I don't feel like I need to testify. I'm confident that others will probably have the same issue that it will get combined with, or that kind of thing. But
I don't know, you might be surprised once we get going and you start hearing testimony. You might get passionate about something else too.
okay, but if so, when we get there, are we going to be assigned to a committee, or do we have to choose which committees we go into? I'm not sure how that.
Dan?
I'm not sure how that works. Is there information?
You're serving as a delegate?
Yes.
Okay, then you are
103.
free as a bird, Dan. If you haven't been assigned to a committee, in and out and do, sign up to give testimony, all those kinds of things, yes. So I'm only speaking to actual committee members as far as your commitment and you being there in the committee. I'm speaking to the people who are assigned to a committee and serving on the committee, not delegates in general. Delegates in general, you are free to come and go and sign up for testimony as you see fit. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, Rachel, I looked up, and Dan, I'm not sure what SD you were in, but I didn't see his name on the list.
Right, yeah, Dan's not, yeah. I think next time we need to have a way to designate that people are on the committee or a guest. So that, because it's a lot of people to keep track of, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm in ST, looks like Senate, ST 28, Senate District 28.
All right, well then you can get with your committee member and let them know about your item and talk with them about that. Absolutely, we can.
Becky Snow is the candidate, or the committee member.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we've got 1 minute left.
Rachel?
Yes.
What I would suggest to people on our committee, if you have other committees you need things done through, work with that individual from your SD on that committee to get your thoughts and everything, and coordinate behind the scenes with texting and whatever you need to do. It's what we did the last time, or the last 4 or 5 conventions, really. And it works well there. For the delegates that need to try to get something done, go to your representative on that committee and work through them to get what you need done, either to testify or just to get your thoughts through to them. This is the simplest and the easiest way to get there, and it stops a lot of confusion.
Great suggestion, Dan. Thank you so much. And that is 7 o'clock, our ending for our meeting. We have our next meeting scheduled, and we'll be, don't forget, next time we're going to meet on the 25th because of the election runoff being on the 26th. So when we get closer to time, I will send out a link for that meeting. And thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Rachel.